I love walking in the garden, looking at these beautiful trees and flowers. Teacher, I have learned that animals are reproduced by their parents. What about plants? Do they have parents too?
Well, Turbo Girl, all living things come from their parents. Plants are also reproduced from their parent plants.
Really? And how do they do that?
Plants reproduce in many ways. Some of them reproduce by means of spores, while some from seeds. There are also some which reproduce from other plant parts.
Wow, there are so many ways of reproduction in plants.
Yes, each plant has a specific way of reproduction. That is, the plant has only one way of reproduction. For example, the only way ferns reproduce is through their spores.
What are spores, teacher?
Spores are very tiny, powder-like cells that will grow into new plants. These cells are stored in the spore bags of the plant.
What kind of plants reproduce by spores?
Plants that reproduce by spores are non-flowering. An example is the fern, which has microscopic spores.
The spores, being small and light, are easily dispersed by the wind.
Yes. Here, have an apple, Turbo Girl.
Oops, I think I have swallowed a seed. Do apple trees reproduce by seeds, teacher?
Yes, they do. The seeds that are inside the core of the apple can be dispersed by animals, wind, or water. Flowering plants such as apples and mangoes are reproduced by seeds.
Teacher, will an apple tree grow in my stomach?
Haha, I think that is very unlikely.
Phew. By the way, teacher, you have said earlier that some plants reproduce from other plant parts. How is that possible?
Look at this piece of potato. Can you see the eyes of the potato? These buds will grow out into underground stems.
So, potatoes are reproduced from underground stems. Interesting. I also heard that some plants can reproduce from their leaves. Is that true?
Oh yes. The Sansevieria and the begonia plant are examples of plants that reproduce in that way. Their leaves are able to produce buds and roots which will grow into new plants.
And what are suckers, teacher? I've heard that some plants grow from suckers.
Suckers are stems protruding from the base of some plants such as the pineapples. These suckers grow out from the side of existing stems of the parent plant. This shoot here will grow into an adult plant.
Teacher, those flowers are really beautiful. Oh, that reminds me. You have said that flowers are the reproductive organs of plants. What does that mean?
Flowers contain the reproductive parts of the plants. They are similar to the reproductive organs in animals and humans.
But how do plants mate?
Well, there has to be a transfer of pollen from the male part of the flower to the female part.
In which part of the flower is pollen contained?
Pollen is contained in the male part of the flower, known as the anther. During pollination, the pollen is transferred from the anther to the stigma. The stigma is the female part of the flower.
So this process is called pollination. What happens next?
When the pollen has landed onto the stigma, the nucleus of the pollen will fuse with the egg in the ovule. Thus, a fertilized egg is formed. The ovary will then develop into a fruit and the ovules become the seeds.
This process is similar to that of an animal or a human. One question, how does pollination take place if the plants cannot move?
Now, Turbo Girl, do you remember how spores are carried by the wind to other places?
Oh yes, but spores are very tiny and light.
When the fruit is ripe, the seeds are released. It will then enter the third process known as seed dispersal.
Is seed dispersal important?
It is. This ensures that the seedling will not be too close to the parent plant so that they need not compete with each other for food and sunlight.
Once the seeds are dispersed, they will grow into new plants?
Yes, this is the last process known as germination. But this will only take place if the conditions are suitable.
I know, the seeds need sunlight, air, and water just like the adult plants.
You are partially right, Turbo Girl. Germination takes place only when the temperature is right and there is a supply of water and oxygen. Now, Turbo Girl, are you able to find any similarities between the reproduction process of flowering plants and animals?
Well, let me see. Oh, I know. Both involve the male and female reproductive organs during the process. Am I right?
You are absolutely right, Turbo Girl. What about the process of pollination in plants?
Oh yes, teacher. Both involve the male reproductive cells going to the female reproductive cells before fusing together to form an embryo.
Well done! We have learnt many things about these beautiful flowers today, haven't we?
Yes, indeed. Now I know that plants reproduce in many ways. Some of them are reproduced from spores, some from seeds, and some are from other plant parts. The processes of sexual reproduction in flowering plants are pollination, fertilization, seed dispersal, and germination.
Well, now you can share your knowledge with your friends.
Oh yes, teacher. Thank you once again for another engaging lesson.